and welcome. You're watching Medically Speaking, and I am Meenakshi Upreti. It's been days after Diwali, but Delhi and its neighboring cities are enveloped in a thick layer of smog. When we say that the air quality in the national capital has improved a little, we don't mean that the air quality is good. What we say and what we really mean, unfortunately, right now is that from the severe category, the air quality has become very poor. So in Delhi, what we say very poor AQI, we Delhiites consider as a norm. Is that okay? What does it mean for our health? What does it mean for our lungs? What does it mean for immunocompromised people? We will discuss all of that and more, and especially we'll also be looking at a solution-oriented approach in the coming half an hour to help me understand this complex topic in a very easy layman term for all of our viewers is a panel of experts who all you can see on our screen. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We have Dr. Sharad Joshi. He is a pulmonologist from Max. He's joined us earlier also in our programs when we've spoken very deeply about the air pollution. We have Dr. Rakesh Garg. He is of course, from AIIMS. He is an additional professor there. Dr. Sundhir Maldhania, he's a senior oncologist. And we also have Dr. Vinny Katru, she's senior consultant, respiratory critical care and sleep medicine consultant at the Apollo Indraprastha hospitals. Now, we'll also be joined very shortly by Dr. Ravi Shekhar Jha. He is the Associate Director of Pulmonology at Fortis. He's just messaged us. He's stuck. He'll be joining us. I'm going to start, first of all, with Dr. Joshi. Dr. Joshi, help us understand really the impact this poor air quality can have on our lungs, sir. Over to you.
So, if we directly come to lungs, because the pollution is not only going to affect lungs, it affects the entire body. So the central nervous system, the cardiovascular system, and immune system, and even the conceived baby inside the womb is also affected by this pollution. So lungs are actually at the first defense, but definitely the entire body is affected by the pollution which we are facing right this time of the year. But unfortunately, if you see by the WHO norms, entire year we have this pollution. And we never breathe normal air, which is like a WHO index of AQI less than 50 or less than 100. Right. So if we talk about lungs, definitely the asthma exacerbations are increasing in the short term. Then short term side effect is like COPD patients, the patients with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, the patients who have reactive airways, they will definitely be affected in short term. But if you talk about long term consequences of prolonged pollution, definitely cancer is one of the manifestations. So cancer of lung, and that will be a long-term consequence of it. Okay. Even non-smokers, we are seeing an increasing trend of cancer, especially lung cancer, even in female patients who are non-smokers. So the lungs are paying the price for all this, which we are inhaling as a gas chamber.
Okay, so you spoke of cancer and especially cancer of lungs, which can happen as a result, of course, of the bad quality of air, which we are all breathing. We have, of course, a senior oncologist, Dr. Maldhania, with us. Dr. Maldhania, what has been the impact of this deteriorating air quality on cancer patients, especially lung cancer patients? And I agree with you, Dr. Joshi, that the air quality remains poor, mostly through the year, if we, of course, go by the AQI levels, which are provided by the respectable authorities. But at the same time, it's around Diwali, isn't it, sir, that we see the air quality really worsen. It comes to its worst quality, sir. Dr. Maldhania, what really is the impact which you are seeing perhaps on your patients? What are the type of ailments and issues which they are suffering with, those who already have cancer because of the deteriorating air quality these days?
So first of all, I should say that the air quality is not exactly during the Diwali. You can see India has got out of 20 most polluted city in the world, we have got 13 most polluted city. And you can see the clustering of these cities, they are only in North India. Why this? You can see most important is Delhi, second comes Patna, then Ahmedabad, then Lucknow, then these are all state capitals. So that means that even in the capital, we are not safe, where there is every administrative benefits, every finance is staying there. So this is a whole year phenomena, first thing. Second thing is you have to understand why there is a more pollution and what are the contributing factors. The most important factor is industrial pollution, which is 57%. 27% is vehicles, 17% is fossil fuels, and 5% is others. So we should not blame that Diwali is
All right. Sir, the factors are many, but when we speak of impact, yes, factors also
impact.
stubble burning. 70% of pollution is due to stubble burning. I agree.
Yes.
But what's
17,
really,
17.
yeah, so what's been the impact on your patients, sir?
Because what we see during this phase, because already their lungs are compromised. Because why they have got lung cancer, most common cause is because of the lung injury. What is the most common cause is smoking or maybe pollution. So already their lungs are damaged, already their lungs are compromised. In those compromised lungs, we have got a malignancy, and most common form of malignancy is stage 3 or stage 4 only. So most of the time they have pleural effusion, their lungs is already working in a very, very small amount. And now you imagine this small amount of lung which is functioning, and you are getting again impact of pollution superimposed upon this lung. So definitely it decreases the quality of life. It definitely decreases the survival. It decreases our quality of treatment outcomes. So I think that's why we are very specific for our lung malignancy, even for all malignancies, to avoid outdoors, to wear the mask, to protect themselves from the such hazardous situations. And this is very common in the urban population, not in the rural population. So we have not seen that much of problem because of the external pollution in the rural population as compared to the urban population.
Dr. Garg, do come in. We are seeing, of course, as it's been pointed out by everyone rightly, that we see, of course, a deterioration of air quality, especially in this season, year after year. We are unable to arrest the problem. But what really has worsened the problem this time around also is COVID, sir, isn't it, Dr. Garg? Are you seeing any manifestations in long COVID patients? What has been the implication of the bad air quality and, of course, subsequent lung and respiratory and other ailments, which we have just discussed, vis-a-vis, of course, the COVID pandemic in the backdrop, Dr. Garg?
Exactly. I think this is a big issue. When we talk of any respiratory ailment, and in COVID, one of the respiratory ailment was present. There was some damage to the lungs, especially in moderate to severe COVID. Though we don't have a robust data because the things have just started. So if you ask me scientifically what percentage has increased, so those data are not available with us right now. But definitely in this situation on a personal communication, yes, these patients are getting a little concerned of increasing air pollution because they will, any precipitating factor in which change of season is one, increased air pollution is second, lack of exercise is the third one. So these all parameters will lead to some effect on their quality of breathing, quality of life with respect to breathing. So yes, this has an impact. But on the other hand, we have to look for the other aspect also. It's just not when we say the air pollution is increasing in the month of, say, November, the weather is changing. It is not at this point of time. I think we also need to have a positive impact, and the message should be clear that it is the whole year efforts from our side that we keep our lungs healthy so that we can mitigate this transition very successfully. So for example, somebody was asking me very recently, the air pollution is increasing. Can I start the exercise now? I said, why are you asking this question in November? You should have started all year. So this means when somebody asks it's not safe to exercise or go for a morning walk when the air pollution is increased too much, why do we start to think of these when something is happening? Similarly, when my COVID patients were there, so moment they are discharged, even my cancer patients in the palliation, when they are discharged, we never say that you're okay, go ahead and don't do anything. No, we have to do something for them. It is the continuous functional capacity building for these patients so that their lungs are healthy and they can tolerate the stress. Stress is a part of life, Meenakshi. I think everybody knows us. And this change of weather is again a physical stress to our patient's body or our body. So we have to prepare ourselves and mitigate some measures so that air pollution can be decreased. I think that is a policy matter. But from our point of view and for the viewers who are looking for us, I think be prepared yourself because we are responsible for causing this air pollution. We are the culprit. If we are not improving it, let's work on our body so that we can tolerate it much better.
Right. Of course, it's a very holistic approach. And even when we look at a solution, oriented viewpoint, it has to be, of course, a collective effort which has to be made, of course, by the government, industry, and us as individuals. I think that's a pertinent point you make, sir. But Dr. Sharad Joshi, tell us really, who would you say are the most vulnerable to the deteriorating quality of air which we are seeing in the national capital? We've spoken about immunocompromised people, perhaps elderly, younger kids. What about those who have very recently recovered from COVID, perhaps those who are suffering from long COVID symptoms, Dr. Joshi?
So, Meenakshi, to understand that everybody is breathing this air.
Mhm.
Not the immunocompromised or the elderly or the newborns who are inhaling this. It's the gas chamber state. It's, if you see the AQI of Srinivas Puri yesterday night, it was 890. And even presently in at the Loni border, it is around 650. That's the AQI. So WHO, the World Health Organization, recognized this problem long back. 35 years ago, they released one advisory. And very recently, on 2nd of November of this year, they have released their 4th report that is called AQG, the Air Quality Guideline. So the 4th report of Air Quality Guideline of WHO clearly mentions that 98% of world population is actually exposed to bad, to have access to clean air breathing. Okay. And the second thing is that roughly since 2016 to 2021, almost 7 million people have died premature death, secondarily caused by the polluted air.
I myself have done multiple debates on air pollution. We've discussed the causes, we've discussed possible solution, but nothing seems to work. What would you tell people? I agree with, Dr. Garg also, all of us should take responsibility together, and all of this sounds great on paper. But what do we do as of now when you have year after year the air quality deteriorating, the policymakers failing us? Perhaps we also aren't doing as much as we should for the environment. But how do we protect ourselves when the air quality is so terrible, ma'am? Dr. Kanthru, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, could you please repeat the question because I got disconnected?
The question was, year after year, air pollution is a topic which is much discussed. It almost sounds repetitive. I understand that all of us collectively need to do more. Sounds great on paper, but what do we do at this moment when the air quality is at its worst?
Yeah, definitely. The administrative controls have to take over rather than just, talking about it. We need to do urgently something. But what we at our level can do is if we are doing morning walks during these peak hours of pollution, which is, usually in the morning and in the late evening, the air is very cold and it remains very stagnant. So morning walk goers are strongly requested to change their time of morning walk around noon or in the afternoon, preferably when they are at their workplace, when the hotter air will come in and it will rise up. So one thing is this can be done. And rather than going out into the open air, we have to shift to indoor, possibly with physical distancing, considering the COVID pandemic. Yes, of course, with COVID appropriate behavior. So these small changes can help you a lot in your daily routine. Of course, you do not have to stop exercising at all and stay indoors all the time. You have to take care of your health. You have to take care of your weight, which is another risk factor for all these diseases. And on the other hand, you can also boost up your immunity by eating healthy. By eating healthier foods like nuts, fruits, which have quite a lot of antioxidants in them, and they help boost our immune systems and the ability to fight these oxidants, which are often incorporated into this toxic air, which consists of ozone and other toxic gases which lead to the free radical injury to our systems. The antioxidants come into play, which can help a long way to take care of these things. Apart from this, what 1.34 billion people can do is at least plant a single tree so that we have a lot of trees to take care of this pollution. But yes, the administrative control has to chip in and we have to reduce the number of dust coming in, generation procedures, and the industrial waste which needs to be taken care of. If you talk of NCR, if you see Yamuna while going home, you will have a horrible sight. I mean, if somebody is doing Chhat Puja in that polluted water, in fact, what impact it is going to have on their skins. And just have a look at it. We are just polluting our rivers like anything. And if you think that the river pollution is not contributing to the air pollution, you're absolutely wrong, because all of these are connected. Once your air is toxic, it seeps into your soil, it seeps into your atmosphere, it seeps into your rivers, which rather in turn go inside your vegetation. And eating these vegetables which are polluted is causing a lot of damage, which includes the heavy metals like arsenic, which includes lead, which causes long-term health effects, which can be leading to anemia and chronic fatigue syndrome, which we all have at the moment.
And, ma'am, also you've broadened the debate, so to speak, in Dr. Mandhania, we had, of course, spoken earlier of the correlation between air pollution and cancer. Of course, be it air pollution, water pollution, there certainly is a correlation to cancer. And as, Dr. Vinny also spoke about water pollution. These pictures, these visuals, of course, are weighing down on everyone's mind. We have pictures of a very frothy Yamuna, a big, thick layer of froth, and people's, immersed in water, celebrating their Chhat knee deep, sometimes almost, shoulder deep in the same water. That's the same water which is seeping in a groundwater. All of that, when we speak of the air pollution, the water pollution, how grim the situation is, sir, would you say, and how immediate would you say is a response, and a very robust response required from our policymakers? Where are we lacking, sir?
First of all, it is not just the lung cancer which increases because of the pollution. It is the nasopharyngeal malignancies or throat malignancies. There is an increased incidence, increased correlation of breast malignancies, bladder malignancies because of this. Along with that, there are a lot of other systems which are affected. So when we talk about policy, why we should blame the government? First, the things should start from our own. We are 140 billion people. You can imagine every day in rural areas, even in urban population, आप अपने घर के सामने कचरा जलता है. Why can't we stop this? This is a very small step, but it can dramatically decrease the air pollution. And as government has said, there is Swachh program, Swachh Bharat program. It has got a dramatic impact on the kids. Young population, it has very, very good impact. So I think there has to be motivation from the side of the government, because you cannot enforce the laws. But if you can motivate them, definitely we can have a better thing. Second thing is why we can give them the green fuel or a safe fuel or non-smoking fuels. So for that, there has been some programs where they are providing free cylinders to the rural population thereby, because you can see this is the population who stays at home, who use the smoking coal or smoking form of some fuel, whereby there is no good ventilation, there is a claustrophobic area, and they are constantly go on inhaling those things. It has impacted. So that is green energy. Second is, why can't we use green energy in our vehicles, because it contributes nearly 27% of the population.
But wouldn't you say, sir, that some of the measures which you were saying, and I agree with you, they sound great on paper, but how implementable are they? And Dr. Garg, that's the point which I had made earlier also, that yes, all of us need to do more. Yes, we all need to move towards sustainable green energy. Let's have let's use solar energy, use green vehicles, but we know the shortcomings. How practical are these solutions? Practically, what can one do as an individual to protect themselves against the high pollution levels which are prevailing as of now, sir?
I think it has to be a holistic, all-inclusive approach. It cannot be a 1.5 statements and that will take care of the pollution and its effect on a particular human being. Everybody has to contribute its own responsibility into the system. So it's basically a system we have to work on. Let it be whatever the policy is. Yes, I know there are many rules and regulations. It becomes a responsibility of each one of us to follow those rules and regulations. This is one. Second thing is, on individual point of view, I would say that we need to make an effort, because we know that every year this is happening and this is a cyclic phenomena. Yes, I fully agree that we have to take some preventive mitigations so that this does not happen in the near future. But then we know that it is happening. We have to create immunity from ourselves inside throughout the year.
how do we create that immunity, sir? Do we need to drink those kadas? Do we need to do yoga year throughout? What would your suggestion be
So,
to those
I
watching
will
this?
just say in a very simple language, just live a natural life. And if you see the natural life, what I mean is, if it was a 45 minutes of walk or exercise a day throughout the year, if we take a healthy food, if we are not under the stress, because stress, as each one of us know, even when we talk of malignancy, when we talk of cardiovascular disease, it decreases the immunity of ourselves. Our body has a great God-gifted inherent repairability of the body. If something harms happens to our lungs, they are repaired very nicely by the body itself.
Okay.
Even if there are some tumor cells, they are taken care by the human body itself. So this means we have to preserve those body capacity to maintain its own health, and that we can do throughout the year. A good physical exercise, a good healthy diet, a natural diet throughout the year, maybe a little amount of whatever we can say, the physical stress, the mental stress, the lifestyle modification. This needs to be done round the clock. And as the other panelist was also saying, that we have to change our lifestyles as the weather changes. We can avoid the morning walk in the morning itself, but yes, we can do it in the afternoon. We can have indoors. And I think one of the good positive aspect of COVID is that we have learned to wear the mask, I think. And these masks.
Since you're speaking of masks, Dr. Sharad Joshi, what mask should one use? Should they use N95 mask, cloth mask? Does it make a difference? What about the air purifiers? Do we need those air purifiers? Do they help? Elaborate on these points a little bit, sir, because these are the maximum queries which we get from our viewers on our social media as well, sir.
So Meenakshi, when we talk about masks or air purifiers, we are actually talking about the personal protection, right? Because when we cannot clean the air, when we cannot take care of the entire pollution, we definitely take care of ourselves and surrounding around us. So definitely the mask is going to help, and the best of them can be N95 or N99. But whenever N95, whether there are issues with availability or whether there are issues with financial cost of it, definitely any of the mask, even the triple layer cotton mask will help. At least that will filter out some particulate materials. If you see the pollution or fog, which is causing decreased visibility, it is majorly contributed by the particulate material. So whatever gas form of the pollution is not contributing to the decreased visibility. So PM 2.5 or PM10 in per se is definitely more difficult to challenge. So N95 is definitely best of them, but any of the mask is helpful. The people who cannot avoid outdoor sports activity, athletic activities, they have to use respirator mask or double mask so that the humidity as well as the outside pollution is controlled. So when they are using just the cotton mask, they can use two masks together. All right. If you come to the air purifiers, there are variety of number of companies which are making different kind of air purifiers. The most important aspect will be that they should not be generating ionic fumes. So there are certain technologies which are using ionic technology and for filtration of the air. So when they are taking care of PM 2.5 and other particulate material, they itself are generating different ionic radiations or ionic molecules. So we have to take care. These are physical filters which have a different kind of mesh. So that kind of technology should be appreciated, should be opted for. Secondly, the air purifier should be appropriate for the size of the room or the house. So these two things are to be considered very well. If you talk about scientific data, that how often or how much these things are effective, I tell you personally, in my OPD, the patients who got admitted thrice or twice in the month of November or December, when they started using vaccination, their rehabilitation, when they were exercising properly, and they started using this air purifiers at their home, they are not falling very sick. They are maintained on their regular medication. They don't need rescue, don't need emergency visits.
So it's really a combination, of course, of trying to keep as clean air as possible, and of course lifestyle modifications. That's important point, sir. Dr. Vinny, since we were speaking and we are coming at the fag end of our discussion, ma'am, since we're speaking of all of pollution, just like every year we do, but this time the difference is, as I asked Dr. Garg earlier also, that it's in the backdrop of the COVID-19 infection. Ma'am, are you seeing patients perhaps who had suffered COVID-19, perhaps say with lung involvement? What has been the manifestation of the pollution on those patients, especially this season?
See, per se, COVID-19, if you ask me, COVID-19 is a disease which practically involves any part of your body from, top to toe. So yes, COVID-19 does lead to some of the changes in your airways also, which are the first point of contact which come between your, toxic air and yourself. So in the airway, I would concentrate. Yes, it does lead to hyperreactivity. So hyperreactivity means if you're inhaling something which has toxic air and certain triggers which can cause wheezy bronchitis, it can cause wheezing inside your lungs and it can lead to breathlessness. Yes, they are very prone, as their airway has become very prone to these kind of toxic air. So they can get episodes of breathlessness and wheezy bronchitis. Hence, they will present to your OPD कि डॉक्टर साहब ये खांसी शुरू हुई थी और अभी जा ही नहीं रही है. So prolonged cough is one of the manifestations which can be seen in COVID-19 patients per se, or any normal patients also. So also I would like to reiterate that after COVID-19, the immunity does take a backstage and it goes down and it stays low for a longer period of time, and we have seen increased number of tuberculosis patients who come to our OPD after they suffered COVID-19. So if somebody is having cough which is more than 2 weeks, which is lingering on, they have certain productive cough, they're not able to eat properly, their appetite is low, or they're losing weight, then they need to get back to their doctors to have a checkup to see if they don't have tuberculosis. And also we see a lot of respiratory illnesses during the winter months due to a lot of reasons, which can be overcrowding, the cold air, etc. So you should be sure that you are taking your annual flu vaccinations. And if you're older than 65 and if you have immunocompromised state, you have to take pneumonia vaccine, which has to be every 5 years. So these are some of the tips which can be followed. But yes, I would like to reiterate, after COVID-19, do have a follow-up with your doctor. And even if you're asymptomatic, but you have chronic lingering on fatigue, it can be a manifestation of tuberculosis.
All right. And Dr. Mandhania, my last question to you. What would be your advice perhaps to patients who are suffering from lung cancer? Because when we speak of air pollution, and I know that this isn't the only long-term effect of air pollution, but given your specialization is oncology, sir, what would be your advice to perhaps those who are suffering from any type of cancer, especially lung cancer, who are watching the show today? Dr. Mandhani, I think your audio is shut, sir. Your audio is off. Could you switch it on, please?
Oh, sorry. Most
Yes,
of the time, generally, the cancer patients follows guidelines very strictly. So the things which we should tell them to follow is very strict hygiene, very strict use of mask. Generally, they wear mask because most of them are on chemotherapy. Avoid crowded places. Avoid the places where there is more industrial pollution, and to have a very good scenic atmosphere in the form of, if you are in the urban areas, generally the plantation outside the house generally prevent the decrease in the particulate matter in the house. So these are the things which they should follow. And as madam has already told, avoid during this winter season to go outside during the morning hours, so as to decrease the inhalation of this toxic air which is there in the lower strata of the atmosphere. So these are my advices for them. Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to give the last word to you, Dr. Garg, since, as far as AIIMS is concerned, you see a large influx of people, and we've had, of course, even the most senior doctors from AIIMS who have spoken out about how at this particular season you are seeing a large number of patients approach the hospital because of respiratory illnesses and other, of course, related ailments. My final word to you, what will you say to those? We've spoken of immunocompressed, we've spoken of those who have recovered from COVID-19, but what about those who are healthy and perhaps are not taking the issue of pollution as seriously as it should? What would be your advice to them as we close the show, sir?
I think it's both, and we have to follow the preventive strategy for our life, and all precautions, whatever it is, we have to take it, whether it is having deep breathing exercises, doing yogas, having respiratory therapies, like in the form of what I said, deep breathing exercise, some time of steam inhalation, avoid extreme exposure to the pollutions, right? As we were saying that don't have a vigorous walk or exercise when the pollution is on the peak, early morning hours when it's little damp. So avoid those things. And in addition to it, do follow the COVID appropriate behavior. And this is the season also for viral infections, which are happening in this season to a large extent. So be care of those things that follow the cough hygiene, follow the normal hygiene, so that your immunity remains best. You are not spreading infections. If you are unwell, please try to be staying at home or isolate yourself so that you are not spreading infection. So these small things will probably help you to take care of the prevalent days, and probably the air pollution with time will come down. And we hope and we wish that all of us will contribute not to increase the air pollution further on.
Well, absolutely. And that's the hope with which we would like to also close the show. As far as the AQI is concerned, unfortunately, it's likely to remain in very poor category, if not severe, in the coming days as well. But that's something which we have seen over the years. What our policymakers should do, that we leave on them. But as individuals, there have been some very helpful advices and also tips which we can follow, lifestyle modifications to ensure that we protect ourselves, especially our lungs, build our immunity this season. I hope this show has been as informative for all our viewers as it has been for me. And I'd like to thank all the experts for joining us with their opinions on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.